Alrighty, so we're almost done. So in step 4, we're going to add the event handler to check the validation status when the submit button is clicked. Alrighty, so we'll move over to our checkout component.ts file. And we'll move down to this on submit method. So let me just kind of zoom in here on submit. So here I'll check on the checkout form group to see if it's invalid. If it is invalid, then we're going to mark all as touched. And remember, touching all fields triggers the display of the error messages. Now, Angular will do a lot of the work in the background when the form is first displayed, but also when they actually do the submit, we want to manually trigger this. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and run our application. And actually, before we run it, let's just make sure we have our Spring Boot app up and running. So I'll just kind of swing over there for a second in IntelliJ, and my Spring Boot app is already running. If yours is not running, be sure to start it now. Then I'll just move over here into the correct directory and get my Angular app up and running. So I'll just move into my app, and I'll just add a couple of items to my shopping cart. Then I'll go and view the cart. Just move down to the checkout button, and now I'm on the checkout form. So we have first name, last name, email. Let's just test the validations here. Just move down and hit purchase. And scroll to the top and says, hey, first name is required. Now, right now, it's only displaying the message for first name because that's the only one that we added the display messages for. But we'll go ahead and repeat the process for the other fields for last name and email. So I'll move back into the HTML template. And I'll just grab the coding here for the first name section. So that div where I have the ngIf. And I'll just copy that div. And I'll apply the same thing for the other fields here. So I copy that, move down to last name. And so in the last name section here, I'll just paste that. And now I'll just update this, right? So last name. So instead of first name, replace it with last name. A couple of locations there. And also for errors and also for required and min length. And say last name is required. Last name must be at least 2 characters. So just make sure you make the appropriate updates there. So last name invalid, last name dirty, last name touched. Now let's swing back into our application and let's just move down to the purchase button. And then up top, success. Great. So now we also have the last name is required error message showing up. So that's good. So now it's just kind of more of the same. We'll do a similar thing here for the email field. Just our copy paste exercise one more time. Move down to the email section. Just paste it in here. And again, we simply go through and we replace last name with email. And so for the min length, email doesn't have a min length. Email makes use of that regular expression pattern validation. So be sure to say email.errors.pattern. Now I'll just update the appropriate text here for those messages. So email is required, and also email must be a valid email address format. Alrighty, so we're back into our application here. Let's just move down to the bottom and do a purchase. Okay, good. So this is great. So email is required. So that's good. Happy about that. Now let's kind of play around with the form a bit and just add some data here to the form. And notice Angular will automatically display or hide the validation messages accordingly based on your input. So it monitors these fields behind the scenes automatically. So here I added some information for first name, added some information for last name. That's great. And even email address. So it's required. We gave some data, but it's bad data. So we have to make sure that we give a valid email address format. Okay, great. This looks really good. So I'm happy. So we have the basic validation in place. In some of the other videos, we'll add some more features here for validation, and we'll also apply the validation rules to the other fields on our checkout form. So a lot of good stuff coming up. So I'll see ya in the next video.